panicked just now when they couldn't fix my microphone. I was like, oh my God, so can everyone hear me all right?
Yes.
All right, okay, good. Hi everyone, thank you for having me. My name is Alex Smith and I founded North London Cares. North London Cares is a community network of young professionals and older neighbours hanging out and helping one another in a rapidly changing city. Just look over there, look at all of the new buildings going up all around you. And today I want to tell you a story about why North London Cares exists. And that is that it's a story of something that happened to me 5 years ago. I was a council candidate in Islington where I grew up. I was naive, I was young, I was into politics. I won't go back there. But on election day, I was knocking on people's doors, as you do on election day, and asking people to vote. And behind one of the doors, I met a guy called Fred, who told me that he'd love to come out and vote, but he couldn't get out of his house. He hadn't been out of his house for 3 months. He hadn't spoken to anyone for 3 months. People would bring him his shopping, but he wouldn't really have a conversation with anybody. And because I was drumming up votes, I said, well, there's a wheelchair behind you. Fred, get in the wheelchair and I'll wheel you to the voting station if it means you're going to vote for me. And I hope he did, but I don't know that he did. But while we were out, he said that it was lovely to be out, sunny day, having conversations with people, but if only he could have a haircut. His hair had got long and his hair had got greasy because he hadn't been out of his house for so long. And so I said, look, Fred, the least I can do is come back tomorrow and I'll get you in your wheelchair again and wheel you to the hairdressers instead of the voting place and sit with you while you have a haircut. The thing that stuck with me about that is not necessarily that I helped Fred with a really low-level practical task. I did, and he had a haircut and he looked suave and he was so happy to be out again on a sunny day. The thing that stuck with me is that I benefited from that interaction as well. What I learned is that Fred loved the Rat Pack, just like I loved the Rat Pack. He'd been around the world, he'd been on the cruise ships, he'd been a performer. He'd set up and run the shop that was my very favourite shop growing up in North London as a kid, Escapade. It's where you buy your fancy dress costumes. So I benefited from that as well, and it just made me think that London is the most amazing city. It changes, it moves, it's dynamic. People from all over the world come here for the amazing opportunities that are here. Young professionals especially, and by the virtue of their being here, they change communities that used to be familiar to people who've lived in that community for 80, 90, sometimes 100 years. Globalization, gentrification, increasing house prices, migration, digitization, the housing boom are changing communities right in front of our eyes, and that's unsettling for people who have lived in that community their whole lives. You've got older people who have got deep roots in a community but no connections, and you've got younger people who have got hundreds of connections in the Facebook age but no roots in their community whatsoever. So I thought these two demographics have got so much to learn from one another in shared time, shared experience, laughter, and I thought there must be a lot of people like Fred and a lot of people like me, so I set up North London Cares. We have 3 core objectives. We reduce loneliness and isolation amongst older people and the young professionals who live in this ever-changing city as well. We want to improve the confidence, well-being, skills, connection of all the participants in our community network. And we want to bring people together across social and generational divides, so people who wouldn't normally get to interact can interact. And we achieve this through 3 core projects. First is Love Your Neighbour, which is one-to-one relationships like mine and Fred's, low-level practical help, but a lot of friendship as well. The second are social clubs, dance parties, new technologies parties, film nights, storytelling nights, where groups can get together, hang out and build relationships through those activities. And the third is a winter wellbeing project, which is one of the ways that we identify older people and help them to get through what's a tough and isolating time of year. The amazing thing about this is that it works. 81% of the older people that we've asked tell us that they feel more connected to other people. 81% say their isolation has been reduced. 86% say they're more able to appreciate the rapidly changing world around them. To humanise that a little bit, this is my friend Lil. Lil would be the first to admit that she feels deeply lonely when she's on her own. Her husband is gone, her children live on the other side of the world in Australia. She can't bear to be inside 4 walls. She comes to our social clubs 2 or 3 times a week. She hangs out with young people and older people. That's a community network. She has a visit from Amy and a phone call once a week and a visit once a week. She benefits from our winter wellbeing project as well. Okay, we're at this tipping point right now. We've got South London Cares as well as North London Cares. In the last 4 years, we've recruited 2,000 young professionals, 2,000 older neighbours to hang out and help one another in their rapidly changing communities. A BBC documentary was made about us in September. We've had lots of press in the Times, the Telegraph, the Guardian. We've now got a profile that has outstripped our capacity. And what we need, we're at an amazing opportunity that we've got a real fork in the road. an opportunity where we can achieve more cares if we want to, certainly more people. There are 25,000 over 65s in Islington alone, another 25,000 in Camden. We're only working with about 2,000 of those. And what we want to do now, and what we can hopefully do with your help, if we can raise £6,000 tonight, we're able to match that to an existing pledge that we've had to hire a brand new staff member at North London Cares who will enable us to assume and absorb a lot of this massive interest that we're getting, make more connections in Camden and Islington. If we can raise £10,000 tonight, we'll free up our more senior staff to think more about the future, to plan, to strategise, to make sure that we've got the infrastructure that we need, not just for North London Cares, but so that we can continue to replicate potentially to South London Cares, Bristol Cares, Manchester Cares. Who knows what the future holds, but this issue is massive and it's not going away because the population is getting older and older and our cities are changing faster and faster than ever before. So we really appreciate your support. Thank you.